Hey everyone, welcome back to the Movified Podcast. I'm Mark, and today I'm excited to talk about one of our amazing sponsors, Mover Marketing AI. Mover Marketing AI is changing the game for moving companies with their innovative digital marketing solutions. I've been working with them on my SEO and website, and the results are incredible. My online presence has improved, making my site both visually appealing and highly visible to potential customers. But that's not all they do. Mover Marketing AI offers a full range of services, from engaging social media management to robust branding, advertising, and public relations. They help you build a strong, trustworthy brand. If you're ready to elevate your moving business, I highly recommend Mover Marketing AI. They've been a game changer for me, and they can be for you too. Thanks to Mover Marketing AI for sponsoring this episode and for their support. And a fun twist. This isn't actually me speaking. It's a digital replication of my voice using AI. Pretty cool, right? Now let's get on with the podcast.
And now, and to carry on this, now you have Movebees, you have quite a strong operation going on. How do you build how are you building that culture in the moving company and Movebees? Like, do you keep everything very similar in a sense of, even at Summit, where everybody knows you? It's like this is the same type of culture that we want to lead, or is there like a whole different environment compared to going to Movebees? It's like, let's get these sales going. Like, let's go, let's have a great time. Then you get to the moving site. It's like, okay, like super on par. Hey, we're working as a team. This is what we're doing. Or do you kind of do a lot of strong blends of, this is the values that Timm Krupp believes in as a company? This is what we follow in each area that you're going to do it, even in now the accounting side of things.
Yeah, so I would say, the culture is a little bit different from company to company. Krupp Worcester, I built that from the ground up. We have a lot of employees who are still there, like movers, from when I ran it. We've got guys that have been there for 7, 8, 9 years. A lot of them. So, culturally wise, it's super, super strong there. Like, really, really good culture. Summit was an acquisition. It's very inner city. I worked there for 3 months, turning it around before I hired somebody to come in and take over from me. And, although I mentor the leadership there, I don't spend time per se at that location very often. I'll stop in and walk through and whatnot. So, the culture is a little bit different, but it has different leadership over it. And the same with Columbus also, I opened that, sent a manager down there to do it. Now, do my core values permeate these companies? They do. I spend my time pouring into my leaders, and a lot of, if I'm talking about leadership, it always comes back to God. It always comes back to, the Bible. We would share, Bible verses and stuff. So they know, and it's cool because we've seen a lot of life change come out of our companies through some of those things. We've had leadership trust Jesus, in the time that they've worked with me. I've prayed with guys to accept Jesus, just over lunch. We've had same thing happen with, movers and people who have come through and work for Krupp. It's funny. I got a guy that's just been hitting me up on Messenger that he was an early guy, worked for me early, but worked for me on and off for probably 8 or 9 years. And he had drug problems, and I think I fired him twice and then brought him back in the busy season twice, like one of those guys. But he's just been hitting me up on Messenger recently, like thanking me for, the influence that I had over his life, and wanted to tell me that he trusted Jesus, and that he's now preaching, and he wants to be a preacher. So it's just crazy because this kid was on meth.
Right.
Back in the day. So it's just wild. Now, if we talk about Movebees, I was able to be really intentional with. When I started this company, I knew I was going to have to be heavy on leadership and administration in the beginning to be able to fill out salespeople and to be able to manage them, to pull all the reporting and the reporting and the data that we pull on a daily basis would make your head hurt. But we had to put that together to be able to scale it. So the people that I hired, like I literally have 2 ordained pastors that were guys that, were in the church world. One of them still is like an associate pastor at the church. One was a creative arts director and pastor at a church. But guys I've known for a long, long time that have, just really, really great qualities. And I brought them in to kind of be my leadership team. So we kind of started with that. But like you mentioned, core values. So we have core values at both companies, but they're different from company to company. So because what resonates, and here's what I would say: if you're thinking about doing core values and you're out there and you're listening to this, get your team involved in it. Right. So even get the movers, talk to them about it, get a little buzz going, find out what's important to them. Because I think it's really important for them to have, if you want them to have buy-in and believe in the core values, that they should be, if you're going to create them, they should be involved in helping create it. So what we created for Movebees looks a little different than what we created at the moving companies. Now, the moving companies all have the same core values, and then Movebees has some different ones. But there's different things that apply. Like at Movebees, sportsmanship is one. Because we're so competitive here, right? But we want it to be like healthy competitive, not like when I was at the car dealership and everybody was stealing everybody's deals and it created a toxic environment, right? We wanted it to be like more of a teamwork environment where, hey, we're competitive, but we're going to celebrate other people's wins as well, and we're also gonna help people out, and that's, we hold people to that standard. And one of the great things about having core values like that is when it comes time to have a talk with somebody because there's an issue, it's not you saying like, hey, I'm feeling that you're not performing in this area. And it's more like, hey, our core value is sportsmanship. And that's really important to us. And let me explain to you why. And that, and I want to know why you're not upholding that standard. It's really important to us. So you can manage with core values too, which really helps with culture as well. We've become much more picky on hiring than we used to be. There was a time where, let's bring a friend to work day. It's like we're literally telling movers, if you know anybody, bring them to work. Throwing
Sure.
guys T-shirts. Guy comes in for an interview, you throw him a T-shirt, and say like, hey, what are you doing right now? You want to make some cash today? We're to the point to where we're not doing that type. We're not doing any of that type of stuff anymore. And especially when it comes to Movebees and hiring salespeople, we've kind of figured out. Through good hires and through bad hires, really what we're looking for and what we want to see in a person before we would bring them in.
Hey everyone, it's Matt with MovingLetters.ai. When I started MovingLetters.ai, I wanted to do something different and shake up the direct mail space. And that's exactly what we're doing with our handwritten letters. Right now, get 1,000 free golden tickets when you start your campaign this June or July, and let's make the difference together. All right, guys, back to Mark.
For someone that is, I wouldn't even so much say like wearing multiple hats. I think you have multiple areas of business that you have to focus on, especially as a leader. How are you doing a lot of block time? Like, do you sit there on a Sunday and go, okay, like, here's my schedule for the week? Do you have an assistant that does that now? Like, how is Tim organizing his day, his week, especially to block out time for family, to block out time for, your own thriving time, right? I see you on ski trips and heading out and doing little mini vacations, right? Enjoying life. How are you doing that? Like, what could you recommend for people that are going, man, I just feel like I'm wearing so many hats, or I'm getting pulled in so many different directions. I got all these reports like you're talking about that I got to go through. That's going to suck up half my day. Like, how are you doing it?
Yeah. So when it comes to block time, I'm not crazy. I'm honestly not crazy regimented. I'm very disciplined, but I have 1 or 2 things blocked out every day. Right. So like, for instance, today is we're an EOS company, if you know what that is, but today's our L10 meetings at all the companies. So those are all blocked out every single week. Those are blocked out. Me and you having this here today, this was on my schedule. This was blocked out, but I leave, so every day I have like 2 or 3 things maybe that are on my calendar, and I leave the rest of it open And I need that freedom. I feel like if my whole day is block timed out, that I'm like locked into something. And I think it's just the way that I'm wired. Like, I feel like I'm like, I don't know, like chained up or something to it. And I need the freedom to be able to like, hey, I'm going to work out in the morning today, and then I'm going to get into stuff. Or I wake up and, maybe I get a phone call or check an email, and I'm like, you know what? I'm in the zone right now. I'm just going to go, because I'm a zone person in the morning. I'm just going to go ahead and hammer through these things and work through this stuff. And I'm going to go work out with Cody, over lunch today or something. So I give myself a lot of leeway to change from day to day. Now, traveling and stuff like that. So I'm not in the day to day of any of my businesses. So if I said tomorrow I'm going to Europe for a month, I could do that. It's just progress. There's not a lot of progress as far as like growth and vision and things like that happen when the leader's gone. It's just going to be like, kind of like business as usual. So I'm always looking to find ways to, how do we make it better? How do we, push the needle farther? Yeah. So,
now,
but as far as that goes.
Sorry, you talked about the EOS system. So I'm assuming you're relating to like books like Traction. For those that are wondering what the EOS system is, was that like pretty fundamental? Like, there's people that I know that say, hey, I do follow the EOS system. There's others that say I follow like this system or that system. Obviously you try and choose whatever works best for you. At what point, as you're growing, because I want to know some of the best books or some of the tools that you use to be able to go to Europe for a month and go, hey, business is going to run as usual, right? So especially when you have multiple areas of business, what were you doing? Like what are some of the tools and some of the books that helped you go, okay, like here, this is like a light bulb went on. I gotta do this. I gotta implement that.
Yeah, so probably the number one book for what you're talking about for me would be Good to Great. Have you read that one?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, so Good to Great. So Gino Wickman, he wrote Traction. He references that book like crazy. But one of the big recurring themes through there are having the right people in the right seats. And if you get the right people in the right seats, the things that you can do are amazing. And a lot of times we have the right people, but maybe they're not in the right seats, or their roles are not, that's what you see in moving companies a lot, is the roles are not defined enough. And you have a lot of crossover in who handles what, where if you define those roles for people, and this is exactly, not that there's never any crossover or people don't help, people out. But then people can really excel. Like, I know exactly what I have to do, and this is my scorecard. And a lot of times employees don't know whether maybe they think they're doing good, or maybe they think they're doing bad, but that's just like intuition and just like gut, but they don't have something to like really be measured by. And it's important for employees to know exactly what their role is and to have a measuring stick to know how they're performing in their role without anybody telling them. That is also something that, with a scorecard, they know that everybody else can see it as well. It's going to be brought up in meetings. Management is seeing it. You're seeing the same thing that we're seeing. Like, you almost don't even have to manage them when they already know, like, I'm not performing well enough in my position. So that is a really good one. Traction is a great one. As far as like leadership books, I really like this book called The Servant by James Hunter, and it's a parable. Yeah, it's a parable. But it talks about, so my style of leadership that I've really adopted, that I really love, is servant leadership. And that is more, you're leading with influence, right? Instead of force. And you're serving your people by making sure that they're in the right role, that they have everything that they need to do their role properly. And they also know that you care about them very much. And, I spend a lot of time, where I spend my time is with my leaders, coaching them, mentoring them, giving them books, talking about life with them. Like, we're not always talking about work. I might go out with one of my managers and sit down over lunch, and we barely talk about business. I catch up. I'm like, hey, how are your kids? How's your wife? How the grandkids doing? How's your health? Those types of things. Like, how are you happy right now? Are you happy where you're at? What do you see in the future? right? And they know that they can speak to me about their future, whether that includes being a part of my company in 5 years or not. And we can have those good decisions. And I'm going to support them in that, because anybody who comes to work for me, I think this is huge for culture, is like, I don't need to put like a golden handcuff on them. If you come and you work for me and you do a great job and you leave better than what you came and you got tools to go on to the next thing, that's a win for us. And one of the other things, if you're talking about culture, would be I always look to try to promote from within before I would bring somebody from the outside. If I find somebody in my company, so I recently hired a guy he's kind of in training to be the chief of staff of all my moving companies. So in EOS, you always have a visionary and you have an implementer, right? So I'm a great visionary. I'm not that good of an implementer. And I really needed somebody who could take like my ideas and everything I want to do and help get beside and serve all the leadership at all the different branches and help them with these tasks, help them build things out and, make changes and stuff like that to come alongside them, because I can't do it anymore. But anyways, when I hired Cody to be in that position, I hired him because he had the qualities I was looking for. He's humble, he's hungry, he's smart, he's super coachable, he's got a great attitude, he's got really strong leadership capabilities. He was a teacher in his previous life, so he's really good at teaching people how to do stuff and creating systems to help guide people through things. But he doesn't know the industry inside and out, right? He can't run a moving company yet, but that's okay. And I'm willing to put the time into him and promote him from within my companies to get him to that level. And he's kind of a blank canvas too, right? So the way that we do things might be different than if you hired somebody, that was a chief of staff at another moving company to come be, at our moving company.
They're coming with their whole other ideas and they're coming in with all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah. But I think that's a huge culture piece. When people know, even movers, they know that there's a path for them outside of being a mover. And in a lot of moving companies, there's only a couple positions out. You got like maybe an outside salespeople person, maybe one or two inside. You might have a dispatcher, right? So there are some opportunities, but there's not a lot. But in my companies, you could go from the moving company to Movebees, right? You might be able to move into sales, or we might open a location. And, when I open a new location, it's because I have a person who I trust to go. And that's when I know that it's time to do the next one. So when I did Columbus, right now Columbus, the guy who runs Columbus, is knocking it out of the park. He started as a punk mover for me 9-10 years ago, I think. And dude, I should have fired this kid probably 6 times over. And most people probably would have. But I hung on to him. And this kid, like he's come so far, and it makes me so proud that he's down there, running a multi-million-dollar location. And we just sent another guy out he was actually a salesperson at Movebees. He was an operations manager at a moving company before he came to Movebees, and also a mover for a lot of years. So he already knows that side of it. And he was one of our very best salespeople. And he really wanted to do a location, maybe have his own moving company someday. And it's because I had these conversations with people that I knew that, and that was his vision. And I said, well, what do you think about doing one with me? We'll open up a location in Cincinnati, a Krupp Moving and Storage, and you can run it. And, we'll set it up so the bigger the company gets, the more money you make. And he just opened, 2 weeks ago. So, but that stuff permeates the culture, because everybody at every location that works for me knows that like there's opportunities not only here, but there's opportunities in these other businesses that I could make moves to in the future.
I love it. To me, I have, and I feel like sometimes it's about like our upbringing and who we are, but I've always been and always had that mentality, especially in the moving industry, when you see guys struggling, come from different lifestyles, everything else, where I have such a big heart that I just want the best for them. And I've had guys that I've seen do so well that they should have been fired a long time ago. And I've always kind of kept them, in my back burner, or they're still on my phone and what I love. And this actually happened on one of my last trips when we were out in Florida, where we were out for dinner and I get a random phone call from a guy that used to work for me years ago. hey, Mark, just checking in. I miss you. Like, it's been a long time. Remember those days back in the day when we were all like, just like going out for dinner and we did this on this move and everything else. And it just was like, it totally brought a smile to my face, right? Because I've obviously had an impact on his life, that he still remembers all these great times and this part of his life where it wasn't doing so good in his personal, but his work family was where he like really enjoyed it, right? The guys that he worked with, and myself and everything that was going on. And, I always like to see guys succeed. And, sometimes I always find that depending on where they're in their life, maybe they do need to have a step out, like leave, and then they come back and they go, okay, like I figured my life out. This is where I'm at. And just like your guy in Columbus, just killing it, right? Like just, it's, I love seeing those success stories. I think that's fantastic. I really kind of want to give a plug here to Movebees for those that are still wondering if you, sell bees and sell honey. So let's kind of just touch base on this because, we get a lot of listeners that are up in Canada that are going, hey, you know what, like, what is Movebees? What is it all about? So can you give us a bit of a spiel of why someone would want to reach out to Movebees? What's the benefit of it? And what are some of the perks that can help benefit their moving company?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Movebees started as like an inside sales solution for moving companies. So basically, like you would, your calls ring to us, or they ring at the office first, and if they don't answer it, then they ring to us. We're working in your CRM. Your leads come in. We're getting on your leads, in a matter of minutes. They're not sitting for a long time. But if you have a moving company and you're missing phone calls, you're leaving money on the table. Like at all. You cannot be missing phone calls. So like that is like one of the easiest ways to pick up more dollars is to never miss a phone call and to always have a good salesperson answering the phones. And same thing with leads. If your leads are sitting for more than like 3 to 5 minutes tops, you're leaving money on the table. I mean, so they called somebody else called them already, and you're going to lose that customer. Now, the thing with Movebees is most inside sales at moving companies, most moving companies aren't big enough to have a layer of management over top of them, and salespeople need managed, right? And they need it managed with KPIs and reporting. Their process needs managed. They need a process, and they probably don't have one, right? And so that's what Movebees is offering, is like, not only do we have highly trained salespeople here who have gone through 3 weeks of training, we teach them the moving industry inside and out. But they sound great on the phone. They're following a script. They're following a process. They have a layer of management over top of them that are pulling these reports daily, coaching them, getting beside them. We're role playing like several times a week, making them role play with like rebuttals and things like that. So we're always coaching them and getting them better. It's just stuff that's just not happening in moving companies. For the most part, is not happening at moving companies. And I'm a client. All my companies are clients of Movebees. We pay full price for Movebees. And here's the way that we use them. So we can be your full sales solution. And for a lot of smaller moving companies, we sell everything for them. We sell packing, interstate, whatever. We can do all that. It's not a problem. For bigger moving companies, like companies my size, the way that it makes the most sense is Movebees sells all of the like one truck jobs for all of the Krupp and Summit locations, right? If it's one truck, they just sell it. Maybe they sell a little bit bigger in the summer when my outside salespeople are too busy. Everything else, my outside salespeople are going to go estimate and sell. Now, Movebees schedules all the appointments for my on-site salespeople too. So if customer calls in, we have an SOP for every single company. We create a sales SOP, and it's right on the screen, right next to them. It comes up when they call in or whatever. We know what we can sell and what we can't. So if it's over, based on some questions that we ask, hey, this sounds like it needs to be an on-site, they just schedule an on-site, and then the on-site estimators go and handle that one. So that's like the sales side of Movebees. We also recently launched a couple of months ago just a CSR service. So there's a lot of companies that maybe they don't need inside sales per se, but they are missing phone calls. and they just want to make sure that like a good representative is answering those calls. The CSRs, they can create leads. We actually created it. It's like a web form on your website that we get all the customers' data, like addresses and all that, and then we could shoot it into any CRM like a form fill, right? So we can create leads and then send them in if that's what it is, or if it's operational, we'll take a message, and whether you want to communicate through email or Slack or however you want to do it, we'll get you that off information, or we could do like a warm transfer, as soon as somebody becomes available at the company, because, probably the phones were, busy when the customer called, and then they ended up at CSR. So the CSR is just like, we just charge like a small amount per minute, and we're able to track all the minutes through, we work in Dialpad. Now we have a couple more services that we're getting ready to launch right now. So we hired a national claims director from like one of the biggest moving companies I know. It's like a $40 million company. This was the main claims manager for this whole company. We hired her to come work for us. And so now we're going to be offering a third-party claims solution.
Nice.
That'll be launching in about a month. It'll be super affordable, handled really, really quick. And we're also doing sales management, especially for like outside or inside salespeople. This is not happening at most moving companies. We have all of these reports and KPIs that we pull daily on every single moving consultant. We're going to make those reports available to other companies. So like, if you are like the owner or, somebody else, you just don't have a sales manager, but you need the data to be able to manage your salespeople, we're going to be able to provide that daily, a weekly consolidated, and then a monthly consolidated report that is and it's even a live leaderboard. You can put a screen up in your office and it will update in live time. Well, wow. It'll update daily, so you can just see it and it'll be displayed. So that's another service that we're rolling out. It'll be very inexpensive, like monthly cost, to have all of that data.
That's cool. That's really cool. Typically when I have guests on the show, I always say, hey, if I run into an elevator with you, give me a 45-second elevator pitch. But I feel like that was a fantastic elevator pitch on wanting to use Movebees. I don't even have to ask it. Yeah, I know. No, that was really good. I for one always struggle because, and I've had conversations with guys at your office or on your team at Movebees, and I'm just trying to, it's always one of those things as the business owner to go, okay, like let's take the next step, let's get things set up, because our office is closed on the weekends, right? Like, so, and to me, like, it's a huge no-no, but it's kind of how we generally have always had it set up. We get back to the leads right away if leads come in throughout the weekends. We're pretty fast on that. But if people are calling the office, they're usually getting an answering machine. And, for any other moving company that's in that situation that says, well, we like our Sundays off, we like this, reach out to Movebees. Because the guys at the office have said to me, look, Mark, we can take your calls on the weekend. We can take your calls in the evening. To me, the cost seems so minimal. I have no idea why I'm not even yet set up. So maybe that's my action plan for the month of May, to get Salmon set up with Movebees. But to me, it's like a no-brainer, right? Just like Tim's saying, like, we're leaving money on the table. Let's not leave money on the table. And check out Movebees. Worst case scenario, you at least have done like a demo with these guys, and you've checked them out to see if it can work for you and your company. Right? Would you not agree?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Yeah. Give us a call. Ask for David Silvestri. So I'm sure they'll get you over to him anyways. But he's our main guy that helps people learn about our company and what we can do.
Perfect. Awesome.
A lot of the companies that work with us, I give them my time for free and consult them, especially when it comes to like marketing and sales and those types of things, or like the next move to scale. So you do get to spend, if you're one of our clients, you do get to spend some time with me as well on that. And it's beneficial for everybody. We want to see you grow, because the bigger you get, the bigger company you are, the bigger client you are for us as well. So we're happy we share whatever we know with you.
And Tim's only offering that service if you've been listening to this podcast and that you've hit subscribe and you're hitting like, or else he does not talk to you at all. He will not give you up his time unless you listen to Movefied. I'm just joking. No, Tim, it's been great. You've been a wealth of knowledge. Hopefully, people took away some nuggets in this time that we got to spend. I would love to keep this going. We could probably set up a part 2 for another date. I think if anybody that's interested, reach out if you want to learn more, follow us. And it was great having you on, Tim. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Mark. This is awesome, buddy. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Have a good one.
All right. You too, man.
Hi, I'm Mark Hirschi with Salmon's Moving and Storage. Today, I want to talk about tying up training. Why? Because this is Netflix grade quality training. It's not those old videos and VHSs that you got hiding in your office somewhere. It's online, it's easy to use, they're short videos, but they get to the point. My new employees, these guys run through these training programs, there's tests at the end, and they're coming out going, oh, I'm ready to rock. So if you haven't checked out Tying Up Training yet, get a demo done. Get on board. Guess what else is there? Online portals for my sales staff. Can you believe it? These guys can learn how to overcome objections and book more leads today. So what are you waiting for? Go check out Tying Up Training today.